Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
What's up? It's Bryce.
It's your boy Wendell.
And it's Jack, and we're your baby boys.
Get ready for a new episode of
Survivor News. And we are back this week with your Survivor News, covering Survivor Season 44, Episode 7. I'm joined by the one, the only, the baby that is the boy, the Jack that is the Atkins, the Floor is Lava, the Circle Season 2. It is Jack Atkins. Welcome back to the podcast, Jack.
Bryce, good to be back. Thank you for the intro, as always.
Yeah, it's always good to see you and hear you. The baby boy Wendeezy still getting on my nerves, so he's on a spring break. But if Wendeezy is on a spring break, I feel like we should invite someone else to cover his spot. Would you agree?
I agree.
I mean, I feel like I don't know if I've shared with the posse, but I am in a polyamorous relationship. And my name is Bryce Isaiah Underwood Lopez. So I feel like it's only right for me to bring my husband, Jesse Lopez, the king, the legend, from Survivor Season 43. Welcome to the podcast, Jesse. And I mean, word on the block is you are a Purple Pants Posse member.
I am. I got this beautiful hat here. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna throw it out there. I came with this hat, and then Jack saw me in this hat, and he had to outdo me. He had to go and get his hoodie and outdo me.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even know you were coming on today until 2 seconds ago, and I've been wearing this all week.
All week, waiting for this moment.
Loving this.
I mean, well, listen, the Purple Pants Posse, we appreciate it. Jack's got the original PPP hoodie. Jesse got the light teal-esque purple hat. That's an exclusive. So we appreciate you, Jesse, for coming on the podcast. How are you? How has life been treating you?
Life has been crazy. It's been fun, but it's been crazy. I've been trying to get back to work doing, the boring desk job kind of stuff. But also going to Survivor events and having fun. I went to Ron Clark watch party in Atlanta yesterday, which was a lot of fun. It was crazy. Sorry I couldn't make yours, but I'm going to say it right now. I'm coming to Philly.
Oh, wait a minute.
Should I have saved that? I'm sorry.
No, breaking news. We got breaking news. We have Jesse Lopez officially confirming for Bryce and Wynn Present. I don't know why I can't. Oh, here, I'm trying to. Bryce and Wynn Present Philadelphia. So my husband, Jesse Lopez, will be in the building May 10th in Philadelphia. I think there's a couple of other people that have confirmed, but we'll wait for that surprise. We'll be in Boston as well, May the 3rd. So you already know if it's a Bryce and Wynn Present event, it gets popping. It was really fun. We were in Pittsburgh yesterday, and Steel City did not disappoint. We had Chet from Micronesia just pop up on us. And so him and Ozzy had a whole reunion. Ozzy, Jonathan, Russell Swan, Nicole, Kylan was there. Somebody maybe from the Season 44 that lives in Pittsburgh was there. So we had a great time in Pittsburgh. And I was like stalking your stories, Jesse and Davies, and watching the Ron Clark experience. That school is amazing.
Incredible. It was just not only so we pull up out front, and the Uber driver was like, is this a theme park? I was like, no, this is a school. Because you have the dragon right out front of the school when you get there. And then you go in and it just gets even more incredible. And I think one thing I told Ron yesterday was that not only is the building itself incredible, but the people inside the building were super incredible. The students were just so engaging, and they were so putting themselves out there and confident. And it was a beautiful thing to be at. And that was, before the actual Survivor event, got started. That was just touring his school. And it was just been a fun 24 hours. I got off the flight, a couple hours ago, getting back home. So I'm excited to be here though.
That's awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us too.
Yeah, it was a good episode too. So
Oh, it was a great episode. I got a lot of thoughts. So I mean, yeah, we got all of that. Wait. Okay. Also, Jesse, since you you here on the podcast, something that we do, because young Jackery is a young lad of a certain age, and he doesn't know a lot of, you know, R&B, hip hop music. So we try to always bless his soul.
R&B.
Okay, so we do a little, you know, guess this song, and you can participate in it as well, Jesse. So,
oh no, am I?
You gotta guess the song. Okay, now.
Okay.
Hold on, wait. Let me just.
Finally, I got a teammate for this. I got Jesse working with me.
I'm not great at challenges. I just want you. Jack, I am not the partner to have in a challenge.
I don't think I've ever done one of these right. So
But
we can only
Jack
go
never
up.
gets them right. So let's see if y'all can guess this one. I keep on falling in and in love with you. Sometimes I love you. Sometimes you make me blue. I never was someone where that you. Oh.
I think I know
Jack?
the artist. I think it's
Oh,
Beyonce.
Oh.
No.
I've
You
heard
see
the
how
song
confident he
before.
was? Oh, I mean, has somebody sampled it?
I'm sure someone has.
Jesse, do you want to take a shot?
I'm
In the
gonna
dark?
Go ahead. Shot in the dark. Shot. Oh, do I have mine? No, I don't have that. But I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere around here. It was in my daughter's cup holder, like in her car seat the other day. So we'll see. Does it involve? Can we give him a clue?
Oh, so you know it. Yes. Okay, come on, Jesse, give him a clue.
Like, would like the word piano help you? Like, I feel like it's a clue. It's not too specific, but
Wait, so you know it all, Jesse?
I mean, I could embarrass myself and be completely wrong, but I'm pretty confident. But
he
you
was
were pretty
right.
confident too.
No, I wasn't.
So I'll give you another hint, Jack. This artist is a female, and she is currently married to Swiss Beats.
That doesn't help me at all.
Okay,
I've
all right.
heard the
Let me.
song like that.
All right, I'll give you another hint. This is another song by the artist. New York from the city. Okay, I don't really know all the, the words.
That's Alicia
but
Keys?
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you for playing this week's.
Does he need to name the song?
He does, but I mean,
The second one was Empire State of Mind. I know that one, of course.
Just take a guess. Just go for it.
Falling in love with you.
Just falling. Just falling.
Falling. Yeah, I knew the song. I've heard the song.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, listen, you're
always,
getting better,
I
Jack.
don't always be Shazamming on the spot, you know?
Well, listen, we're back. So, Jack, take it away. What you got for us?
I just want to say, this is how smart Jesse is, though. He easily could have not known the song and just played it off like he didn't know it, and then he didn't embarrass himself. I'm sure he knew it, but I'm like, Jesse's a smart dude.
Well, Alicia Keys is known for playing the piano, so I'm going to give Jesse a point for leading you in that direction.
I thought it was Elton John.
I think Jack Harlow sampled that one. But yeah, we're back on the beach, and Josh has just gone home, but Jam Jam caught a few votes, and you know, like he's been doing all season, he uses his humor to his advantage, just joking around with people, trying to work his way back into the tribe, and really just make himself a desirable person to have around, just being comedic. We also see, like, the next day, he sort of spearheads the naming of the tribe, Va, which means 44 in Fijian. But he even jokes and says, like, oh, I think Jam Jam is like something, it means like greatness in Fijian or something like that. What do you guys make of Jam Jam's position in this game and his sort of intentional use of humor to sort of work his way back in.
I think it's great. I think that was one thing that I took. I tried to rewatch the episode a little bit once I got off the plane, and that was something that I really noticed. You know, coming back from camp, Jam Jam is right there joking about like, you know, I caught a vote or two. You know, my name was on the chopping block. And he's like, we don't have to make this awkward, but it is, or something like that. He's just like making a joke out of it, which I think is like really good to do, especially when you are feeling like on the outs a little bit. He caught a vote. He was on the chopping block. And I think coming back to camp, for him to just use that humor and just not take it so seriously, I think that's really good. You could come back and you could be very angry and upset and just like keep burning bridges. And I think it's actually an interesting approach that I don't know if I saw anybody even use that kind of approach coming back from Tribal on my season. I feel like a lot of us, like when we came back from Tribals on my season, it was like, all right, let me go on my apology tour to the people that like I left out. Let's have these like serious conversations about why. Or, you know, I love Owen, but sometimes he came back and he kicked his bag a couple times because he's, you know, the lovable curmudgeon. So I think that Jam's approach to this was really good, and that was something that I really like. I think is going to benefit him, and it clearly did even tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I don't know what it's like coming back from a Tribal, but one could imagine that it can be awkward. And I think it was season 42 or season 41 with Deshaun. I remember Deshaun coming back from some Tribals and lighting it on fire. So I thought that it was just like really great of Jam Jam to kind of just make light of this awkward situation. Like, are we going to sit here and be awkward, or can we just move on? So I loved it. I'm team Jam Jam, so I was here for it.
Yeah, I definitely think he handled it extremely well. And he's just been such a good presence to have around. And also, before we head on forward, Jesse, I'd love to just quickly hear your thoughts on the season so far and how you feel about it.
I love the cast. I think the cast is great. I think there's something like so colorful about like the whole cast in general. When you look at it as a whole, they just kind of pop. Like they are just like these, and it's weird to call them characters because they're real people. But like, it just feels like they are really like big characters on the show. And so I enjoy the cast. I think it's been a little bit hard. And there was a point in the season where I was like, this feels almost like Mario Party, because there's just so much randomness and advantages, like being like so much being thrown in.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it was a couple episodes back where they went to the Advantage Island and just everybody swapped tribes and everybody got an idol.
Yeah.
And it just felt very like, but I feel like when the players are, you know, able to play, and it's, sometimes the advantages can get in the way of the players, and I feel like it just detracts from the season. But I think, not to jump ahead, but I feel like even though there were twists and advantages in this episode, I still felt like it was a good episode personally.
I agree.
Jack does not agree.
I disagree. We'll get into that later for sure, and that'll be an interesting thing to discuss, I guess.
If you were on this season, Jesse, and you made the merge with the current people that are here right now, who do you think would be your Cody?
Who do I think would be my Cody? You know what? I don't know. I think Danny reminds me a lot of Cody, but I don't know if he would be the person I pair up with. I really like Carolyn, and I think, like me personally, I think I would bond with Carolyn just because I appreciate people who are open about like struggles in life that they've had. And I think that we could have bonded off of that. I don't know if there is somebody who would be my Cody, because I feel like even if I liked Carolyn, she does come off as so like, I'd be worried how we would pair out there.
Yeah.
For sure. So I don't know if there is a Cody out there, but I think the closest one to it might be Danny.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, so the next day, we see that, you know, Matt's finally got his vote back. He finally feels like he's weathered the storm and come out the other side, and he's ready to play. But he hears from Brandon that when Brandon found his idol, there was also, in the birdcage, there was also a fake idol. And that leads to Matt remembering, you know, not only did he find the key and then open the birdcage where he only found the one idol, he also remembered how Danny sort of prompted him, bringing him to the spot of the key and being like, make sure you're putting your hand in all these roots, Matt. And Matt was like, now that I hear about this, it's a little bit suspicious. So not only does Matt, you know, begin to believe that his idol is likely fake, but he also realizes that there's a good shot that Danny has the real idol and set him up, which, you know, at this point in the game, they seem to have a bit of an alliance just from what we've seen on previous Soka pre-merge. That group of 4 was trying to stick together. So I'm sure that raised some alarms in Matt's head. And this leads to the idea of Matt, you know, presenting to a few people, not only telling people that he thinks Danny may have the real idol because he shows them his fake idol, but also broaching the idea of potentially blindsiding Danny with the likes of Franny, Carson, and a few others. This was definitely a chaotic sequence, so I just want to hear, you know, what stuck out to you about this whole segment of Matt's realization of his fake idol.
What I want to know, Jack or Jesse is, do you think it was a good idea for him to reveal the idol? Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, if I think it's a fake idol, I'm going to just keep that to myself. I'm not going to reveal that to anyone because I don't know. I just feel like in this game of Survivor, sometimes even when you are telling the truth, it can backfire on you. And I feel like the way that he was kind of sort of setting it up for Danny, and you know, he's saying that to somebody like a Brandon, he doesn't know that Brandon and Danny have this bromance island thing together. But I was just like, no, man, don't show them. What's your thoughts? Like, do you think that you would have shown them, Jesse?
Actually, you know, I didn't think about it that way. I thought it was, when I was watching it, I was just like, it's kind of cool that he realizes that it's fake. Like, he's made this connection. Like, it's clicked for him. Like, that's kudos to him. And then it's also, like, I was thinking about it in the sense that, like, okay, now he knows he has a fake idol, so he doesn't really have, like, power, you know, an advantage. How can he use that non-advantage to his advantage? And I thought what he was trying to do was, okay, well, guys, I reached into the birdcage. There was only one idol there. Danny probably has it. So he used his non-advantage basically to paint a target on Danny, which I thought was great. But now that you're saying it, it did come up later. Like, we don't know if Matt's idol is real or fake. Like, I remember hearing somebody say that. So maybe it would have been better for him to just sort of leave it out there and have this mystery of like, did anybody get it? Did anybody get the idol? And then later on down the road, he could have pulled out his fake idol and like flexed on people a little bit.
Yeah. No, Bryce, I think that's a really great point because I agree. I feel like he jumped the gun in the moment of being like, oh, well, now that you guys mentioned that, check out my fake idol. But in reality, I think that having that fake idol, especially because I think he has like the medallion fake idol. So that's obviously not something you can make out of like beads at tree mail. It's something that looks like it could be real, especially when you pair it with the note that Danny planted with it. So for me, it's like you're kind of losing the potential leverage of your fake idol because you could play it, you could make it look real. And we've seen this season and in recent seasons, a lot of times just the threat of having an idol is enough to dissuade people from coming after you. Also, you know, like Jesse said, Brandon has a bit of a bromance with Danny. And so being in this big group of people throwing all this information out, you don't know everyone's connection. So like Bryce, I think it was smart to say that. And if I'm Matt, I probably come to this realization, maybe pull Franny aside because I trust her really closely and run the situation by her and maybe brainstorm, you know, the best way to go about it rather than just like letting all this info out to a bunch of people right in the moment.
Another thing, 2 things that also came to my mind. One, how pissed off would you be if you play a Survivor, you think you get this idol, and then you sitting there talking to Brandon, like, you know, first of all, you like, I got this idol. If they coming for me, I'm going to be safe. And then Brandon like, y'all know, what's up with y'all idols? Because you know it was 2 idols in there. I would be sitting there like, this mother, like, I feel like Matt Survivor's experience was just crushed in that moment. Brandon is out here crushing people's Survivor experiences.
Matt is hitting like every single rock on the way down. It's like he loses his vote for 2 tribals. He finally gets it back. He's all excited. And then he finds out that actually, you know, that idol that you thought you had, it's not real. That's rough. And I honestly wonder if that is part of why I was like so caught up in appreciating the fact that he like made that connection and it clicked for him that it was a fake idol, that I didn't really think about the fact that how quick he was to, you know, bring up his fake idol when they were talking about it. But I wonder if that is part of it, is he like felt thrown off, like thrown off, realizing, oh, I actually don't have power. And
yeah,
Danny's probably the one that did it to me. So
so, you know, I know the talk of the town, words travel fast on the island, right? What I also thought in my little head was, I wonder if this information will get back to Jamie. Because Jamie has Matthew's fake idol that she found. Yeah. And like, so she's still kind of sort of sitting pretty with that. And I will assume that during these conversations, when all of this is coming up, that it would make it to her. Maybe not, maybe, but I was just wondering, like, I wonder where Jamie is with all of this information, because Brandon out here spoiling a lot of people's dreams.
I think for hers, though, she didn't find hers in the cage, right? She didn't find hers in the bird-cage. She found it after the bird-cage thing had been played and done with, found it out on the path. If anything, I could see her pulling it out and them asking, like, are those the beads from the tree mail and torches and stuff like that? because it's not like the medallions and stuff.
Bryce's point, though, it's like hearing that there was a fake idol planted with the real idol should raise some red flags to anybody who found even just a regular idol anywhere else, especially when maybe she connects the dots of Matthew bringing her to the well and being like, is that a patch of mud or what is that? You know? But I think he might have even been like, that looks like it could have an idol in there. Yeah, no, that's a great point, Bryce. There's so many layers now with, you know, of all the twists this season, there's been a lot. I do like that fake idol ordeal probably the most, because it adds several layers of information and mystery, I guess. But moving on to the immunity challenge, the first proper post-merge immunity challenge. And, you know, I think the through line of the rest of this episode is a lot of new twists, and I'm personally not a fan. I'm looking forward to discussing, because also hearing that you guys did seem to enjoy them, I think could make for some good debate. But at this immunity challenge, we get the first twist. Jeff informs us that we're splitting into 2 groups, but we're also competing as individuals. The winning group, aka like the group with the last person individual standing, would get a picnic, but they'd also only attend tribal, but just to watch as sort of a juror's perspective. The losing group, the last remaining from the losing group, would win individual immunity, but then the losing group would go to tribal council and vote somebody out. And we draw rocks. We also have an odd number of players, which means Carson draws the gray rock and gets to choose which group he wants to go with. And I believe the breakdown, it's the orange group. Group 1 is Heidi, Danny, Kane, Franny, and Carolyn. The second group is Lauren, Brandon, Jamie, Matt, and Jam Jam. And Carson opts to go with the first of those 2 groups. And we get into the challenge. But before we dive into this challenge, which is, you know, standing on a narrow beam, holding sort of a pole with a ball balancing on the end. This is obviously sort of, we've seen iterations of this twist. Bryce, don't get too excited.
I'm just saying, it's not me.
I see it.
Whoa. If I was competing, wouldn't have been my first time in that challenge.
But fair enough. But so we've seen iterations of this sort of post-merge split up, but I don't know if we've seen it exactly to this extent with, you know, the different individual immunities and so on. So, and also hot off the tails of the last challenge where they also split into groups. So before we even dive into the challenge itself, what were y'all's thoughts about this twist, both as a fan and potentially as a player?
If you asking me, if we make the merge, stop breaking me up into groups. I've never made the merge. So, you know, in my mind, when I make the merge, I want to be with the people. Jeffrey, stop breaking us up into groups. I don't mind if I love the twist. I like the little, you know, somebody can sit out. I really like it when, say, Carson could have sat out and he can bet on the top 2 people, something like that. But for me, don't break me up into no group. Keep me merged.
I actually kind of enjoy it. I think that he's going to drop the Lopez and only keep the Underwood at this point. I think it's, I don't know. I totally get like the fact that it's like, they make this whole big deal about like earning the merge. And now you're finally at the individual portion of the game. And then it's like, psych, we're actually breaking you back up into tribes again. And not only are like half of you going to be safe, but half of you aren't even going to factor into the vote. And you're just going to sit there and watch. And it's basically like a pre-merge tribal at that point. But I think it actually makes for interesting dynamics. You know, I think that a lot of times when you have like, you go into the merge right away, there is like a large alliance or something that forms, and they can kind of just dictate things, and it makes it a little bit less interesting to watch and a little bit less interesting to play. I think depending on where you're at in the game, it could be more frustrating or less frustrating. I always had more, like, as a player out there, I always had more fun when there were these little like things that happened out there, like Carla and Owen winning 2 immunities and Cody coming up immune because of the champion's advantage. Like, that was a chaotic tribal for me, but looking back, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of like interesting dynamics going on, at least on the beach for me. So I think it adds something to it.
No, as a viewer, I like to watch it. I'm just saying, I always, when the season merges, I pretend like I'm out there. And if I was out there, I'll be like, what's going on? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think we are seeing more twists like this in the new era due to the backlash of the Hourglass? Because this is kind of something similar to the Hourglass-esque. Yes?
Yeah.
No?
Well,
Maybe.
first, I just want to give my 2 cents about the twist too. As a viewer and theoretical player, I'm not a fan. Like, especially coming off the last episode where we also broke into groups, I'm like, let's just get to the individual portion of the game. Especially, like, for me, the final 11, especially given the fact that we started with 3 tribes, they're all coming together, so there's not yet an established majority. The final 11 is always such a interesting vote, like, in my opinion, because it's sort of fresh into the merge. There's an odd number of people, which makes it a little bit easier to pull off a move. I mean, some of the like craziest votes from my memory have been at like the final 11, like the Cagayan merge, final 11, crazy vote. If I'm not mistaken, I think Second Chance's Kelly Wentworth's big idol play on Savage, I think was final 11. Like, there's just an opportunity for big moves to be made. And obviously it's like hindsight sort of 2020 with the way the episode shook out. But I feel like going into this immunity challenge, we see like a lot of dynamics emerging that could cause some real chaos. Like, now that Matt knows Danny has the real idol, Matt is thinking about blindsiding Danny, but Danny has an idol. What could happen there? There's also sort of a Ratu versus Soka war brewing with the 2 big coalitions. And then you sort of have the little Tika coalition of, you know, Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam, which is my favorite little trio in the game, almost able to hopefully steer that vote. And I think if we had a normal immunity challenge here, I think what we would have seen from the rest of the episode would have been really fascinating. And I think because we're splitting into groups, like Jesse said, it's almost like another pre-merge tribal. But we've had pre-merge tribals literally the whole season. Like, I want to see the game start to unfold and set the tempo for the post-merge. And there's a couple other issues I have with it too, which will come up later. But I guess to answer Bryce's question, I think they did get a lot of backlash from the hourglass twist, but like I think we're seeing more. I think they know that twist was bad, but I don't think they've realized yet that this oversaturation of twists in general is also bad television. You need to trust your players to make the game exciting from their own like volition, not from all these crazy twists. Because in short term, like a rare twist could be super fun. You know, when they back seasons ago when they first introduced like the idol or a swap, like that's exciting. But then if you do that every time and add crazy new stuff every single episode, that's the new norm, and it's not exciting at all, and it takes away so much of the agency from the players to play. So that's just a rant, I guess. But I'm really not a fan of all these twists because they're not even twists anymore because we just expect them to happen, and it's like, can we just have a normal vote?
Yeah. So, I had a quick question. Do you think that you'd be so down on it actually if we didn't just come off of like another, you know, tribal where people were split into groups kind of situation?
I think I would be, yeah. I think I would be less down on it. Like I'm like, there's so many.
It's just a back to back,
and it's like we haven't even had a normal like individual challenge or vote yet, and it's like I said, Final 11, not always, but for the most part, seems to usually generate a pretty interesting vote, in my opinion, especially. Now, of course, they pre-plan some of these things, but if I'm a producer out there, I'm going to notice like there are these crazy dynamics starting to form. Like, let's let that play out instead of doing this. Yeah, even just from like a production eye, I guess, I just don't think this twist is going to generate the best TV, and I don't think that it did. I think this episode was honestly pretty bad, in my opinion.
Oh, I thought the episode was good though. But wait, you said something during your rant. You said something about unfold. And I would like to take the time I feel like every episode we do, I always have to call out Brandon Cottle. I don't know, like I feel like when they just love to mess with me, right? So, Jack, you used the term unfold, and that got me to thinking during this episode. If everyone could take a look right now, currently, Brandon is to the right, okay? We see his shorts, right? Mm-hmm. Normal length, they a little long, but they're above his knee, okay? Now, the question I have, Brandon Cottle. Let me pull it back up. Now take a look at Brandon Schwartz now. What is he doing? At this point, Brandon, just have your underwear out. This man, listen, wait, because it is not enough talk about this. I need for y'all, look at his shorts right here. Look how long they are. Okay? Brandon said, you know what? This challenge, I'm going to need my thighs to be able to move and to be comfortable. He didn't roll them up to some hoochie daddy shorts.
Are you complaining, Bryce?
I mean, we not complaining. But my thing is, at this point, just have wear your underwear. Okay, because the strength that he used, right, to roll them shorts up could have been the strength. Could have been
depleted.
That's like depleted. Zero effort.
That little bit of effort could have been that. Okay.
But what about the effort of taking his pants all the way off? He wouldn't even want that.
Okay, just drop them. But if he didn't pleat them pants up, maybe that could have been the wherewithal that he could have had, and he would have beat Franny. I don't know. But I've just like, why? Like, but his pants were so long. And then I was like looking in the challenge and I was like, oh my God, like we can actually see it now to the left or to the right of Justy. Like he rolled them shorts up. I mean, for me, when they're in the huddle getting ready, that means Brandon's like, wait, give me one more second, Jeff. It was like, let me roll these up.
Only Bryce would notice that specific change.
I'm just saying.
So the shorts cost him the challenge, is what we're saying.
They potentially cost him a challenge. Now we know if Jesse were out there, because we seen the shorts that Jesse had on. They were capris. They were down to his ankles.
Yeah, I know. You were saying that Brandon's shorts were a perfect length when they were above his knee, and I have to disagree. I think they need to be down by the
Jesse. Okay?
I don't like people seeing my knees.
Jesse. First of all, Jesse, okay, on a good day, you are 5'1".
Whoa! What is this slander?
When you wear those long shorts, okay, they drag it on the ground.
Does it make me look short?
Guys, can you pull up the picture of them all in a line real quick?
Okay, yes.
Because I just want to point out, I think Bryce's Issa look has changed the game because every single person in this has their shorts above their knees.
Okay, and if Jesse were on this season,
yeah, no,
you would think Jesse had on jeans.
Well, maybe Jesse was the difference maker because Jesse played a hell of a game, and maybe that's the long shorts are the secret.
It could be the long shorts. Maybe you've had it wrong. I'm not sure. Wait, Jack. I need somebody to settle the debate because me and him clearly don't agree on this. Shorts above the knee or below the knee?
You know, for style, above. But in your defense, they say the knees are the gateway to the soul. So if you got the long shorts, you're hiding your knees. It helps your strategy. I got shorts on right now. They're a little long.
Jack, we can't see.
I don't know. The knees are the critical part we need to know.
Oh, okay.
They're above the knee.
We're looking right above. We're looking into your soul.
Yeah.
We're learning a lot about
bony knees, Jack.
I got an extra bone in my knee too. So I'm standing on my chair because my floor is a mess. So I'm embarrassed. But I think ideally you want them like right here. Honestly.
Right, Jesse. Just don't say nothing else. I know.
Jesse's a better player than any of us.
What you getting for Christmas? Okay, I know what you get.
Short shorts.
Jesse. That's all I know.
Short shorts. Okay.
Okay, but yeah, we dive into the challenge, and very quickly, Franny is the last one standing from her group, and there's I think still 4 other people from the other squad, from Brandon's squad, and however, Franny is able to endure, and eventually it's just her versus Brandon, which means they both secured individual immunity. And eventually Brandon drops and Franny wins it for her group, sending Brandon's group to tribal council to vote. But Brandon does have individual immunity and some very rolled up shorts showing full thigh.
Do y'all see the shorts now?
Yeah, I do.
Brandon got on a pamper. Brandon. Do y'all see the shorts now?
This picture looks like Jeff just said something about his shorts. He's like, come on, Jeff, stop. You kidding me?
Brandon said, Issa looks says you got to have him above the knee. So,
he took it seriously.
He took it serious. It's
Jeff, look.
Wait, if he didn't unroll his shorts at this point, when do we think he unrolled his shorts?
I don't think that he unrolled them at this point.
He walks into the finale party like
they're still rolled up.
Yeah. The producer pulls Brandon to the side and they're like, Brandon, you can go to the bathroom in the ocean. Brandon's like, no. Okay, wait. These the Cotton Pampers 2006.
Made from 100% cotton.
Okay.
Soft. And when he has to go, he just rolls them up even more. And out the way.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so, something I did want to bring up that I was discussing with my friends during the episode, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. For me, a bit of not a flaw per se, but something with this twist is if I'm Franny, say, or even if I'm like just pretty much anyone out there, once I secure my individual immunity, I think most of the time I actually want to throw the challenge and make my team lose so that I am obviously safe, but also have a say in the vote and can control how the vote goes. Especially like in Franny's position, you have a Matt on the other, just looking at it on paper, looks kind of vulnerable. And so, of course, if you have allies on the other side, you could protect them. If you have allies on your side and you're safe, you can kind of influence the vote. I'd say the only instances in which I wouldn't want to do this is maybe there's someone on the other tribe who's vulnerable that I think will go home, and I want to let them have the opportunity to shoot that shot. But for the most part, I think and Brandon says it after the challenge. He's like, you know, I ended up losing to Franny, but I'm honestly not mad because now I'm safe with a say in the vote. And I think that in this situation is the most powerful position to be in. What are you guys' take on that? Is it something where it's like in the moment you can't really throw because you're too focused on winning for your team, or like?
There is no way in the world that I'm out on Survivor and I'm, you know, holding the pole and I see if I'm out there. There's no way I'm out there, and if me and Jesse are out there, okay? Because if me and Jesse are out there, you better believe on day 3, Jesse is coming up to me and saying, Bryce, can I have a hug? Okay? You just know that. And if I'm out there and I am the only one left on my team and there's like 4 other people on the other team and Jesse's on that other team, you can best believe I'm throwing that challenge to save Jesse. So I thought that as well, Jack. I'm like, Franny was so concerned after about like saving him, but I was like, well, you actually really could have saved him and you. But exactly. I wonder if, I don't know. 2 things come to my mind. I think maybe she just was in awe of, because, you know, when I got to work a pole and a ball, I'm locked in as well. So she could have just been locked in, or maybe Matt was a little bit more expendable than we think.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the challenge, there's the potential that she was like, I mean, you get caught up in the challenge. I don't really last long in challenges anyway, so I don't know, like, you know, I assume at that point you're like, you're going for it, right? The peanut butter and jelly's right there. You could like win it all in terms of the challenge. So like you're caught up in that moment. And it seemed the way, I don't know if she was thinking this, because she vocalized how concerned she was for Matt afterwards. But in my head, I'm thinking being in a duo is great, except for when it's like a known duo, I feel like.
Definitely.
And maybe in this case, and I don't know if this is what went through her mind at all as a consideration, but like maybe she did consider like, if Matt goes to tribal and Matt goes, I'm not there. It wasn't me. Like there's no blood on my hands, but then I also reduce my threat level. I don't know if that went through her mind, but
yeah, no.
And she could use that if Matt goes and like people voted for Matt, like they can be like, sorry, Franny, sorry. Like she could almost use that sympathy to gain more trust with other people. Like, so I don't know. Like it could be a win-win situation for her.
No, I do think that is a very reasonable argument, but the way that she reacted after, like during their, you know, the post challenge things and trying to influence saving Matt and all of that stuff, that sort of indicates to me that it wasn't really on her mind. But I do agree this actually might be the prime time for her game format to go, for the reason you guys stated. Also,
he got out. Oh no, he's gone. He's gone. In the face there.
He should have come back. He should have rolled his pants up like Cottom. If he rolled the pants up like Cottom, it wouldn't have been an issue. But
They were above the knee though, so
I mean, they were above the knee.
If
That's
they
why
were below the knee, it would have been even better.
So
He'd be back by now.
if they it's probably his chair. But do you so it's just interesting though, because like we were saying with the Franny and Matt, how I mean, because I wouldn't really want to be associated with him, and not that I wouldn't want to be associated with him, but one could imagine that it is a very known thing, and Franny is a good player enough to know that sometimes you gotta know when to fold them and know when to show them.
Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi is just so shoddy, honestly. But yeah,
I thought you had Jesse work computer.
Yeah, he sent it over. But yeah, like I just caught you saying, it's like, you know, I think the added thing too, like you guys hit that nail on the head. But on top of that, it's like Matt's gonna be the first person to Ponderosa, which means every time someone joins, he's going to be talking about how good Franny's game. And, you know, even if it's subconscious, I think that's going to be something that helps Franny's game and just opens her up to working with different people. And she's played a decent game without Matt so far. So, but yeah, I do think given the fact that it looks like she does want to save Matt, it's like not only for Matt's sake, but also just for the sake of having influence within your own group and influencing the game in the direction you want it to go whilst being safe. Is like, I think there's a very good case to throw the challenge.
I didn't even think about that, Jack. You're right, because that's also, if I'm thinking end, that's a 1 vote Franny right there.
Yeah.
Who was on her team though? I'm trying to remember. It was Heidi, Carolyn, Kane,
Carson.
Like if this is a Ahsoka,
Danny,
Ratu thing, if Franny goes to tribal, she's safe. Could she have been concerned about somebody else like in her group? Like maybe like if this is a Ahsoka Ratu kind of war, like maybe she's concerned about losing Heidi.
I mean, just as a thought experiment, I guess. Like say they do go to tribal, her group is her, Heidi, Danny from Ahsoka, Kane from Ratu, and then Carolyn and Carson from Tika. I mean, I think in this instance, Ahsoka would stick together and either grab Carolyn. I think Kane would be very vulnerable, but maybe they also grab Kane and go try to pick off like a Carson. But I think all of those things, well, at least numbers wise, I mean, her dynamic with Matt is kind of unique in the sense that losing Matt could help her, but just in terms of numbers, I think
she could have had him. She could have had the numbers.
Yeah, it's better. It's better to. Or it's like, you know, maybe this is an early opportunity. If there's this impending Ahsoka Ratu showdown, this is a great opportunity for them to go to Carolyn and Carson and say, hey, we really want to work with you guys. Let's take out Kane now, and then we can continue working together. And you sort of have the jump on the those swing votes. So I don't know. I think I bet it's definitely crossed Franny's mind. If not during, then probably after the challenge when Matt was voted out. But you know, I do think this can still actually work out for her in the long term. But I was just speaking even generally, like say it was Carson who was the last one standing. It could just be better for Carson to lose so he can influence the vote. You know what I mean? Unless he thinks he could lose like a Carolyn or I guess in Carson specifically situation, he might not want to do that because that would make Carolyn and Kane vulnerable. And those are his probably closest allies. But just like from a neutral standpoint, I think it's good to have the say in your own group's vote rather than just watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think this might have to do with the twists, right? Like they learned about this twist and like 10 minutes before the challenge started, probably. They don't have that much time to, you know, get ready. And then you're standing there with the pole over your head, pulling the ball over your head.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And you're just like so thrown off. And
you don't always be thrown off though. Okay. Sometimes it calms yourself. Okay.
In the heat of the moment, it is like
yeah, I think this is also what I don't know. I feel like this is kind of what Jeff wants. He wants like people to just kind of be thrown for a loop. That's why they keep throwing these like different twists and challenges, and it's like hard to play. I think like optimally, like if that was maybe that was like the optimal move there. It's hard to play that way when you got like so much coming at you for sure.
Yeah,
it's and a lot.
Okay. Where's Wendell to ring the bell?
He's on spring break. Now, I have a question for you guys, though, right? So we're at this picnic, which also my 2 cents. Peanut butter and jelly is not a picnic. Just get that out the way. But Danny, now y'all know here on this podcast, we have Jesse here. Okay, we love a short king, and we love Danny. My question to y'all is, and I listen, I'm Team Danny. I think he's playing great, but here when we were at this not a picnic, a PB&J or how do you
they
say
had
P-
chips and sweet tea though too.
Okay, but that's still not a picnic though. You need fruit for it to be a picnic, and you need like a smorgasbord of a charcuterie type of thing. But anyway, I digress. Do y'all like, is Danny playing too manipulative?
What makes you say? He might be, but what makes you say that from the picnic?
Well, maybe it wasn't the picnic. Maybe it was after the picnic. Maybe my issue really just was the PB&J. So okay, pause that.
I think that this lunch outing for Danny went better than his last lunch outing.
Okay. He was talking to everybody.
Yeah, it seemed like he was talking to everyone. So
yeah. Danny's been getting a lot of lunch outings the last 3 episodes. He's been out. Everyone else is bored. He's like, man, I got meetings. I got lunch. With my boy Brandon, and then that girl from Tika. But no, the picnic. I think they are catch on early that Jam and Matt. Here, I think my Wi-Fi is back on. Let me switch back over to. I might be.
Oh. And he's going to roll up his shorts.
Yeah, right.
I just dropped them all the way. No, but the winning group acknowledges quickly that from on paper it looks like Jam and Matt could be in danger, but they enjoy their PB&J and chips and sweet tea, and they receive this note that says "Open after you finish eating." So once they wrap up, they open the note, and we kind of go on this wild scavenger hunt for these keys that are hanging all around the woods that will open. It says one of the keys will work on the bird cage, and there's a new advantage hidden inside. And just to fast forward, we get Heidi finally unlocking the cage. I just want to note quickly, I noticed that when she unlocked it, Franny was behind her. And Franny was not thrilled, and they kind of just like looked at each other for a solid 2 seconds, and then Heidi was just like, and Franny was like, yeah.
I think she even said it's okay.
I was like, hey, that's your ally. You gotta act a little more excited, I feel like. But yeah, and so Heidi receives the control a vote advantage, which allows her at tribal, when it's time to vote, to basically instruct one of the people from the other group how to cast their vote, and they must do so. But what did you guys think about the twist in the sense of the finding the keys to unlock the birdcage, and also from the control a vote twist itself?
I don't know. I don't like the control a vote twist in general, but I didn't mind. There's so many advantages this season, but I will say I was watching in a theater at Ron Clark Academy when this twist happened, and they're running around looking for the keys, popping it in. Nope, that one doesn't work. Another person tries it, and I feel like everybody was really enjoying watching that. So as much as I'm like, there's too many twists, I'm also like, I see people enjoying it, and I also didn't think it was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I like twists like this that can directly affect what's happening over at the other camp and where everyone has a chance and it's not just one person. For me, the big takeaway was how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches did Kane have? Because Kane said, I got the bubble guts or something. He was like, I can't be running around. Okay. So yeah, I like this. I like this a lot, but if we could maybe fast forward because I have questions. For me, I really want to know. This is where I feel like Danny, where I feel like you're playing great and you're doing a good job when he was like kind of like naming the names and kind of sort of spearheading where things to go. For me, and like retrospect to that, I was just thinking of Matt has outed you at this point. You're working with Brandon. Like, I don't know. Just it seemed like there will be a time that because he is playing this masterful game, in my opinion, maybe too masterful and too upfront, I feel like it can come back on you. But can y'all help me break down like Heidi's thought process? Because this is where I got a little confused. Because clearly Heidi wants Matt to go. Right?
No.
Or it was Jam Jam. Then it was Matt. Then it was like she talked to Franny and, you know, she was like, well, I wish it was something I could do. And then Franny's like, there is.
Yeah.
And then, so I guess help me get to like, do you guys know, was she more Jam Jam or was she more Franny or more Maddie?
No, I definitely think the way it shook out, she was more Matt, but she did seem to jump back and forth a little bit. But I mean, that's to like jump back to what I asked you guys, and then also to tie it into your question is like, that's my big issue with this twist as well, is that as a game mechanism itself, I don't mind it. But what happens here is like, because of this twist, it demands so much scrutiny for the tribe that's already won that it's taking away from understanding the dynamics going on over at the losing tribe. And on top of that, Heidi's control of vote, the way that the numbers have sort of shooken out, Heidi's control of vote doesn't really matter at all. And so we spend 10 minutes of the episode watching her juggle it when in reality, I don't think she cares that much. And then also because of the, like I said, the way the numbers shook out, it doesn't really matter in the sense that there's 3 Ratu who seem to be sticking together and they're picking between Matt and Jam Jam. And like the way it worked out kind of epitomizes the fact that it didn't matter in the sense that Heidi makes Lauren, one of the 3 Ratu, vote for Jam Jam, but that's just going to cause Matt and Jam Jam to vote for each other, leaving Brandon and Jamie to just put third two votes on either of them, which either makes it a 3-2 vote in the way they want it to go or a 4-1 vote in the way they want it to go. And so now the twist is essentially at least in this instance, doesn't make a difference, but we spend so much time seeing Heidi juggling her options when it's like, it's like watching someone pick between like chocolate and vanilla ice cream. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. And I think Heidi's thought process was very thorough, but it just wasn't interesting to watch, if that makes sense.
Do you think she picked Lauren because they knew she had 2 votes and they thought that she would have to vote both votes?
I thought maybe honestly, maybe the conclusion they came to is that if we pick Lauren, she might panic for no reason and burn her extra vote. But I sort of just mentioned, it's like Lauren was probably aware of the fact that like if her other 2 allies were voting the way that she was going to vote anyways, it didn't matter. And so Lauren was smart not to burn the extra vote. But if I'm in Heidi's shoes, I'm like, okay, I'm sure Heidi probably realized this. Like the way I use this doesn't really matter. Let me try not to burn any bridges and then maybe get Lauren to burn her extra vote. But in that same sense, it's like as soon as she plays the control of vote sort of in Matt's favor, it almost corroborates the fact that corroborates the idea that the Ratu have that Sokka's very close. And so if I was Sokka, maybe I was thinking about keeping Matt, but then when or I'm sorry, if I was Ratu in Matt's group, maybe I was thinking about keeping Matt. But as soon as Heidi uses this aggressively in Matt's defense, then maybe I'm like, oh, well, now we can just vote Matt out. Clearly, he has allies. Clearly, they don't want to work with Jam Jam because they kind of just burned the bridge with Jam Jam by putting a vote on him. Now we should actually get Matt out. So it's like, I think the most interesting way, and sorry to ramble on, and the way I would have probably wanted to use it, and then I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, is, maybe you like make Lauren vote for herself and give Matt and Jam Jam a chance to just put their votes on Lauren.
Yeah,
or maybe
I think
force a tie, and then it's chaos and it's more exciting.
Yeah, I actually thought about that. I wonder if you could do that. Like, could you tell somebody, because you can't vote for yourself out there, and the advantage isn't that you're taking their vote from them. You're having them go cast their vote. So I wonder if the rule still applies that you can't have them vote for themselves, right? Because I wonder if they considered that. I also was thinking, like, this advantage is not an advantage. I feel like there's so few scenarios where it actually will be like a decision maker, I feel like. And you really have to think hard about what those scenarios are. And it forces you to show your cards and put yourself out there and burn bridges. And like, Lauren did not seem happy that her vote was getting controlled. Jam Jam's not happy that he got his name written down. And like you said, it's showing that Soka was, cohesive or close and trying to protect each other.
And to that point, it's like, I totally just blanked.
Do you think the advantage would have been better if you get to steal their vote, but you just go up and write the vote for them so that it doesn't reveal who you are voting for and can kind of less sway the other people?
Maybe. Oh, maybe. And I just remember what I was going to say, which ties into that, is like, to both of your points, you aren't really, aside from tribal conversation, you aren't really privy to any plan. And then also, because you're announcing your control of vote when it's time to vote, like, whatever you do, the other people aren't really going to have time to converse and react and plan accordingly, right? So say, and you make a good point, Jesse, I don't know if she would have been able to vote for herself, but say for just in theory, say they made like Jamie vote for Lauren, then Matt and Jam Jam could vote together and vote for Lauren and try to make it a 3-2, at worst a 3-3 if Lauren plays her extra vote. But like you said, in the sense that it's not that big of an advantage, is now that it's time to vote, Jam Jam and Matt don't really have the opportunity to actually pull each other together and be like, all right, let's do this. And so they're probably going to play it safely and stick to what they were going to do going in anyways.
Yeah, I think that the fact that the person who gets this control of vote advantage was not on the beach, not hearing the strategy. You never know where the like votes are actually going to go until you get to tribal, but you can get a good sense of like where people's heads are at. You can get a good read. And because of the fact that she wasn't there, they're all just like imagining what the strategy talks were and trying to pick like the most likely scenario. And so it's really just like throwing a shot in the dark here. It's just crazy.
And the fact, to that point, it's like their read of the dynamic was actually pretty spot on, but they still weren't really able to do anything with it. And it's like, just imagine if like their read was wrong or things were more chaotic, then it's just sort of like kind of puts a stop in the action almost. Like, say if we actually were going to get a crazy tribal, that whole control of vote could just throw that out the window and end up in a much safer, more boring vote.
Is there a world where Heidi really didn't want Jam Jam to go, and she just kind of casted that vote for Matt to go one? Or is there a world where Heidi didn't want Jam Jam to go, however, long-term game, and kind of maybe she had a better read than we are giving her credit, where she said Jam Jam only for them to react to get Matt out, so that way it gets Matt out and also still keeps her favor with Franny, like, girl, I tried to do what I could do and he still got out. Like, do we think that at all is a possibility, or the numbers just don't work that way?
No, I think that's actually a great point, a major possibility. where I'm sure Heidi was facing like a heavy pressure from Franny. And so to maintain that relationship and also the relationship with Danny, who I assume was probably on Matt's side there too, she did go with that plan. But I feel like for Heidi, and I feel like she probably realized this, like you said, Bryce, is like, it's not, she even mentioned it's not the worst thing if Matt goes. But like Jesse said, in the sense that it's not that big of an advantage, is like, even if that's your thought process and you're actually well intentioned for Jam Jam, you still took Lauren's vote. She's not going to be happy, and you still put it on Jam Jam. He's not going to be happy. Like, I don't know. I think in this case, the best way to, like, just in this specific scenario where it just is not going to really impact anything well, it's like sort of about mitigating your burning of bridges, at which point you almost might just be like, yeah, I'm going to take Matt's vote and vote for Jam Jam or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the controller vote is it's so public in like nature. Like, you have to publicly take someone's vote and you have to publicly tell them who to vote for. It also almost forced it. It essentially forced her to have to disclose to everybody that she was at the beach with what her advantage was, right? Because she doesn't want to. I don't think you want to go in that completely like closing people off. You want to hear their sides, but then that opens you up to do this, do that, like, and then if you don't do what someone does, she also burned Carolyn, right? Probably burned Carson. Like, it's I don't see the advantage to this advantage.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it kind of puts Heidi on the radar when she was playing a pretty solid under the radar game, and like, I think she could probably recover, but it's still like, why do you find an advantage? And then in a sense, it almost puts you at a disadvantage more often than it helps.
Right. So in that case, maybe Kane's stomach saved him from an even larger target. The one thing that I will say about this episode, and again, just better storytelling at times where, you know, clearly it's either Matt or it's either Jam Jam, and it's like their last speech to everyone, and just hearing the things that Matt had to overcome, which you wouldn't necessarily think that someone like a Matt has to overcome that, but just hearing that, and hearing all of the things that he overcame, and just still was so grateful. And then also Jam Jam, and just, I don't know, I don't like to play with people's emotions, but hearing their emotions, thinking they're about to go home, although one of them does go home, again, made me just appreciate the game, and just made me think about like how, although we are just at home watching and cheering, these people are really out here and overcoming a lot. So that just made me really appreciative. So I enjoyed it, although it sounds weird to say I enjoyed it, but it was heartwarming to hear.
Yeah. I actually, even though I was a fan of the 5-5 split tribal. I thought it like introduces interesting dynamics. I was not really a big fan of the control vote advantage, but I was a fan of actual tribal council this episode. I felt like there was no, like Matt said, like they weren't going to be cute about it. They were just so open about what was happening. And I don't know, on my season, we were very cagey. We were very like keeping our cards close, but it was fun to see them like, just like being open about everything and talking it out. And then getting to that personal stuff, right? Where Matt's talking about social anxiety. And I cried a lot out there, and I cried watching. So, but yeah, no, I thought it was a great tribal. I mean, it feels weird to be like, I thought it was great to see people like being sad, but like, I could connect with what Matt was saying for sure.
That's the word that I wanted to use, connect. Yes, absolutely. It was and ultimately in the end, it was super sad to see Matt go. Although Matt said early on when he found out that he lost an idol, and he's like, and I just got to start to play. I beg to differ, though. I feel like you actually are playing more of the game when you don't have a vote. Because, so I don't know, I just wanted to give Matt his flowers, because I feel like if you don't have a vote, you actually have to do a lot more. You are actually more playing the game than you actually realize. But it was just super sad to see Matt go. And of course, the burning question that everybody is dying is like, are you and Franny still a couple? You know, during Jesse's season, everybody kept being like, Jesse, is Bryce still Lopez? Like, you know, I felt reminiscent of that, but
Very similar.
Very similar. It's like, you know, oh my God. I read Matt's interview with Dawson Ross, and he did confirm that him and Franny are still a thing. Matt are still a thing, and they're still going strong. So congratulations to Matt and Franny.
That's exciting.
Manny. Hashtag Manny. Hashtag Manny. That's their name, ship name. Wait, we didn't talk about the fact that he brought up papaya.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's like, okay, that's not my bag over there.
But also, wait.
Oh, and the bag thing, yeah.
And the bag thing, yes. So how would you have felt if his bag was there and Jeff would have let him get it? Because it seemed like he was leaning towards allowing him to get his bag if his bag were there.
I'm honestly surprised that they didn't give him, like, his bag didn't like magically show up at the beach like that he went to. I just feel like that seems messed up. It seems so like such a small like slip up. Like, why would you
your idol to challenge?
Yeah, it just seems so weird for his bag to not be there and that to be like an actual thing where it's like,
if he had a real idol
in your boat.
If he did have a real idol, it really would be like, that is not very fair at all.
Yeah. I mean his shot in the dark, he could have taken a shot in the dark, right?
True.
And he didn't have that with him. So
yeah.
I
also think for Matt, that's almost one of like in my opinion, I feel like one of those situations where it's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission. Like if I'm Matt, especially because it makes good TV, if his bag was there, I just get up and go grab it, and like Jeff's like, is Jeff gonna be like, oh, put it back? No, but like when you ask, he might be like, oh, you can't do that. You know what I mean? But if you just go do it and it's good TV, they might be like, oh, all right.
So because you know, I was at the Bryson Wynn Present Pittsburgh party. I thought at one point in time they joined back together.
No.
So there wasn't.
They saw each other at Tribal.
At Tribal,
first time they saw each other was at Tribal.
Because I thought like when they were I'm gonna go with y'all. But yeah, so yeah, and if Matt really did have an idol, and that was a real idol, what would the saying be? Because you know everyone's always like, I can't believe I went home with an idol in my pocket. Would Matt be like, I can't believe I went home with?
You got screwed. You would have been screwed.
But my idol on the beach.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I can't believe I went home with the idol on the beach. But yeah.
But the fact of the matter too is like that's a very real possibility. Like there's a couple people on the other group that did have idols, and I don't know if they brought their bags or not. But had they lost, they would have gone to the old Soka beach without their idols, and like they could have been screwed over. So it's like Carolyn, for example, has an idol. I don't know if she had her bag. She probably would have been in danger. So it's like
it's a new challenge. And listen, when you go to Tribal, when you go to challenges, you need to pack that idol.
I don't think you should have to pack your idol though. Like
they do tell you to bring your bags. They do say like bring your bags. Make sure you bring your bags. But I do know like there's some times where people were just like, I don't feel like bringing my bag today. Like I don't. It just seems weird though to not just move the bag. Like I would have been like, go get on your boat. Go get me my bag.
Or if I'm Franny, like bring the bag and maybe he does get to come grab it and like just give him that opportunity. But
again, if with Heidi saying that she would vote Jam Jam, maybe Franny was thinking like, I don't need to give him his bag.
Yeah, but I think Franny's smart enough to know that Heidi's vote for Jam Jam still doesn't really change that much, like we talked about.
Well, any future Survivor players that are listening and you have an idol that's real, put that baby boy or baby gal or baby thing in your bag when you go to challenges.
Could he have actually played off the papaya as an idol? There's so many idols this season. I wonder if he could have just really just gone with it. Like,
Is that the papaya female?
Because there are so many advantages this season. How do you know I'm lying? This might be real.
Not the papaya idol. I have heard it all. Let me go see if I can find me a papaya. But Jesse, this has been such a treat, a joy to have you on the podcast. I feel like just yesterday I was writing you a letter. Go get that money, bring home that money. And
go get that money, baby. Go get that money, baby. They didn't air the letter that you wrote me.
I felt some type of way about that, but it's okay. To then, being in LA with you, and now to have you on a podcast is truly a dream come true. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come chat with us, and I'm excited that we'll see you in Philadelphia in May.
Yes, I'm excited. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, y'all want to hear another song, or should I just end it, Jack, or you're done?
We can do one more.
We can do. Let me see.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
See, I feel like I want to give y'all easy ones, but
the last one was like a fair. Like I could have gotten that one.
Okay.
So it's something in that realm.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to do the dance too. See, the thing about you that caught my eye is the thing that makes me change my mind. You remind me of a girl that I once knew. See her face whenever I think of you.
Please
you remind me of. Wait, time out. Do you know this one, Jesse?
Sure.
Jesse, why would you give it to him? I just wanted to know if you could tell.
I didn't. I wanted to be right.
I was just okay. So
see, the thing is,
okay.
I still wouldn't have known it because when you asked him, does he know it? He said, sure. Like I thought he was saying, yeah, like sure I did. I still would have been wrong.
I guess until next time. But this has been your Survivor News recap with the baby boy that is Jesse Lopez, and Jack Atkins will be back next week covering episode 8. And we'll stay tuned to see if DZ is still on spring break or we got somebody else special for you. Ooh. We out, y'all.
Survivor News. Survivor News.